A $125,000 per ticket space balloon that will take passengers to space. Since the advent of airplanes, people have been able to explore the most beautiful and magical parts of the Earth with ease. These locations include Paris, Dubai, New York, Beijing, and more. However, the world's adventurers now seem to be up to something even more interesting. Tourists that have gotten bored of traveling around the world can now head to space. Yeah, you heard that right, space. In this video, we're going to be looking at the $125,000 per ticket space balloon that will take passengers to space. But before we go on, can you hit the like and subscribe buttons? Gracias.
If all goes to plan, the journeys starting in 2024 will involve a 2-hour ascent.
A Florida-based company known as Space Perspective has been working to make the dreams of lots of adventurers come true. For just $125,000, the self-acclaimed first luxury spaceflight experience in the world will be giving passengers balloon rides to the stratosphere. The space trips are set to start in 2024, with interested persons required to make deposits worth $1,000. So, passengers can complete their payments over the next 3 years. Sounds like a cool payment plan, right? Yeah, I thought so too, but that's not all. The deposits are also refundable and tiered. This means that the deposits for Year 1 flights are more expensive than subsequent years. Space Perspective completed its first flight test successfully on the 18th, 2021. The Neptune 1 ship was launched from the Space Coast spaceport in Florida. The flight lasted 6 hours and 39 minutes, and though it was uncrewed, cameras were installed. These cameras took an incredible shot of the planet at sunrise. Neptune 1 reached a height of over 100,000 feet, traveled across the Florida Peninsula, landed in the Gulf of Mexico, and was finally taken ashore. According to the company, the success of the test was a crucial step in its goal of taking space tourists on short excursions. Tourists will also have access to the internet and a refreshment bar. Space Perspective has assured its customers of the most astonishing 6 hours of their lives. The company's CEO had this to say.
It's amazing. I had a very, very unique expertise there that we couldn't get any other place.
We're committed to fundamentally changing the way people have access to space, both to perform much-needed research to benefit life on Earth, and to affect how we view and connect with our planet. Though the first set of space trips will be launched from the company's base in Florida, it's working on having more launch sites in other locations across the globe. One interesting thing about these trips is that the capsule doesn't operate like rockets. So, high G-forces shouldn't be a concern for passengers. Instead, the capsule will be carried by a huge balloon. First, the space balloon will glide from the launch pad to a height of about 45,000 feet, which is higher than the height of the majority of commercial flights. After that, the space tourists will be taken to 75,000 feet. This is a part of the atmosphere that's majorly used by spy planes. Daydreaming yet? The balloon will finally get to its highest point at 100,000 feet above the planet. At this point, it will then hover around for a couple of hours. This will allow passengers to relax and soak in the 360-degree view of the Earth. I think you'll agree with me that it sounds completely magical. Head to space in comfort. The Neptune 1 capsule has a total of 9 cozy seats. 8 of these seats are for passengers, while the last one is reserved for the pilot. Since a pilot will be present in the capsule, travelers won't need to have any prior experience.
Pac-Man.
Passengers will be able to enjoy fantastic views thanks to the panoramic windows. Also, the non-glare panes will give the passengers the chance to capture amazing moments with their cameras. Since passengers will be going on 6-hour journeys, it's expected that they will need refreshments along the way. In addition to refreshments, the company has made a bar, cabinet, and bathroom available to ensure maximum comfort. Additionally, tourists will be able to stay in touch with their loved ones and share moments on social media throughout the journey. The Wi-Fi connection in the capsule supports live streaming. Key information will be made available to passengers with the aid of sensors. The sensors will record vital data such as temperature, altitude, and wind. A safe landing is guaranteed upon the balloon's return to Earth. There is a splashdown cone beneath the space balloon to help it land safely on the waters. As I mentioned earlier, anyone interested in going on this trip can reserve a seat for $1,000. But if you would like to enjoy this experience with friends and family, you may book an entire capsule. Also, if you're interested in being one of the first travelers to go on this ship, you can get in touch with Space Perspective to get more information on the first 25 trips called Legacy Explorer flights. Other space trips. Though the space tourism industry is just emerging, the first space tourist landed in space 2 decades ago.
Is a catalyst for stocks with no revenue.
Virgin Galactic has raised over $1 billion in funding.
In 2001, a US millionaire by the name of Dennis Tito traveled to the International Space Station ISS in a Russia rocket.
Life on Earth is altogether different than life in space.
Aside from Space Perspective, other companies are also working on taking tourists to space. Let's take a look at other players in the space tourism industry. Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic is a company owned by Richard Branson, and it is set to start taking passengers to space by early 2022. To go on a space ride with Virgin Galactic, each passenger is required to pay over $250,000. According to reports, the company has already sold over 600 tickets. The company introduced the VSS engine back in March. The spaceship will be the first in the company's space tourism fleet.
First spaceship built for regular passenger service to put humans into space.
Blue Origin. Blue Origin was founded by Jeff Bezos in 2000. Since then, the company has invested billions of dollars in developing 2 rockets known as New Shepard and New Glenn. In June 2021, it was announced that an unidentified person had won an auction for a seat in the New Shepard by bidding a massive $28 million. The bidder will be going on a commercial trip to space alongside Jeff Bezos in July 2021. SpaceX. Owned by Elon Musk, SpaceX is a major force in the aerospace industry. Not only was it the first private establishment to send someone into orbit, but it was also the first to be certified by NASA.
Venture into space. Today, SpaceX announced plans to launch a 4-person, all-civilian crew into orbit.
Tickets have already been sold by the company for a 10-day-long journey to the International Space Station. The trip should begin in the latter part of 2021. But before you start picturing yourself on this record-breaking flight, you should know that a seat costs a whopping $55 million. We've come to the end of this video. Though there are a good number of companies hoping to take humans to space, Space Perspective has the cheapest offer. You should tell us what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification button.